bitterness. By the grace of God, I can thankfully say that I don't know how that feels. I was blessed with, and am blessed with, incredibly wonderful parents. My parents are not perfect. They've never been perfect. But my parents have consistently loved me. And just the fact that they sincerely loved me, that sure made up for a lot of imperfections. I'm very, very thankful for them. However, I've had many friends over the course of my life that were not blessed in that way. They were raised in families that were not characterized by love, but were characterized by pain. We cannot choose which family we're born into, can we? That's something that people are just, you're born into a family and you have to deal with what you've got. All of us are born into imperfect families. All of us are. As the first note in the note sheet says, there is no such thing as a perfect family. So if you've been stressing out because your family's not perfect, well, you can just let that stress fall off, because there's no such thing as a perfect family. I mean, God, his kids, they rebelled against him, and one of his grandsons killed the other grandson. I mean, so, there's no such thing as a perfect family. However, some families are healthier than others. They are. Some families are healthier than others. The impact that a mom or a dad can have on a family is, of course, huge. I want to read something to you today. This is a story from a book that came out years ago called What's So Amazing About Grace. It's by a fellow named Philip Yancey. If you've not read this book, this is one of those books that I think every Christian ought to read at some point in your life. It's that good. What's So Amazing About Grace by Philip Yancey. And we're talking about the impact that a parent has in a family. In this book, he tells a true story of a family that he knows personally. Here's what he writes. In 1898, Daisy was born into a working-class Chicago family, the 8th child of 10. The father barely earned enough to feed them all, and after he took up drinking, money got much scarcer. Daisy, closing in on her 100th birthday as I write this, shudders when she talks about those days. Her father was a mean drunk, she says. Daisy used to cower in the corner, sobbing, as he kicked her baby brother and sister across the linoleum floor. She hated him with all her heart. One day, the father declared that he wanted his wife out of the house by noon. All 10 kids crowded around their mother, clinging to her skirt and crying, "No, don't go!" But their father did not back down. Holding on to her brothers and sisters for support, Daisy watched through the bay window as her mother walked down the sidewalk, shoulders adroop, a suitcase in each hand, growing smaller and smaller until she finally disappeared from view. Some of the children eventually rejoined their mother, and some went to live with other relatives. It fell to Daisy to stay with her father. She grew up with a hard knot of bitterness inside her, a tumor of hatred over what he had done to the family. All the kids dropped out of school early in order to take jobs or join the army, and then one by one they moved away to other towns. They got married, started families, and tried to put the past behind them. The father vanished. No one knew where, and no one cared. Many years later, to everyone's surprise, the father resurfaced. He had guttered out, he said. Drunk and cold, he had wandered into a Salvation Army rescue mission one night. To earn a meal